All right, welcome to another video. We just wrapped up doing theming in its most basic sense, but I think all the pieces are there for you to take it however you like. I want to talk about a few things upcoming. One of them is subscriptions. Now, I don't plan on this app, at least initially having subscriptions. I don't think it's necessary. It's an open source thing. Maybe in the future, like there'd be a need, like a pro version of it for the people that run the venues. You pay for that or something. Like if this thing was successful, but I do want to do it from a tutorial point of view. Now, I've been working on it on the side, outside of Stream, because there's not really a great solution for it, at least the way I want to do it. And if you've caught some of my live streams on YouTube, one of them I was, doing some more work on it. And what I've been trying to build is basically a Serverpod module. So that's been kind of exciting. So just like there's the Serverpod auth module and the set and like the Google or the cloud storage like module and probably various other ones. I'm following that as kind of a template in terms of how it's structured and the different how they like to do it, and I'm building one so that it's going to be as easy as basically pub installing your this new module, which I'm calling Serverpod subscription, and it will have support for Apple, Google, and Stripe. So work for all three, basically like iOS, Android, and web, without you having to do all the crazy stuff. And what's cool about it, and why I'm, because you could, probably just do this pretty easy client side, without worrying about Serverpod. But to me, subscriptions should always be a server side thing, because if you have user accounts and they're subscribed, it shouldn't matter what device they're on. You want to, you set it up on web and you load on, your phone later because you decided to get the app, you should still have that subscription. So it needs to be tied to your user account. But it's complicated. There's like webhooks you have to deal with, all this crazy stuff. So that's upcoming at some point. I'm trying to get the module done because then the implementation of it will actually be just one probably pretty short video. Another thing is notifications. That's something I'm going to do soon. That's a lot easier. We'll be dealing with both the client side and the server side part of it, and dealing with notifications from a newsletter kind of perspective of like, hey, you just want to send this to all my users, and that will just be like using Firebase, Firebase cloud messages. They have there's a dashboard to sort of send those things. But more importantly is how do we send it from Serverpod for a specific thing, like, a friend request or something like that. So that is also upcoming. Other things in my radar are things like logging, just on the server and also on the client. We've been kind of doing a lot of just like prints, but we're going to make that better. And other stuff too. Lots of things planned. So, keep watching. I'm glad you're here. I don't know what video we're on. This must be like, I don't know. I don't even know what video. I'm not going to even take a guess. But yeah, big project. But now what I want to kind of do is we've been ignoring a very big part of this app, which is kind of like the social part of it. So I think in the next few videos, we're going to really focus and zero in on that, which is basically our feed. And it's more than a feed. It's the idea of, posts. It's the idea of commenting, following people, seeing other users' profiles, all that kind of stuff. So we're going to add that in, and we're just going to get started on it now. I kind of have this old thing opened up, which in my very first video I went over. This was kind of like the only preliminary work we did before we started this project. And this is what I planned, we're going to do. And let's just, take a quick look. Like we've done a lot of the Explorer, right? We have our Explorer list screen of all of our stuff. We have our map, which is somewhere in here. List screen. The map wasn't even planned. Oh, there it is. Yeah, toggle to map. Cool. We have, we don't have creating yet. This will come. Well, we kind of have creating. You can create a venue. You can create an event. But we want create a post. And then the idea is we're actually going to probably have a button in the middle that's going to be like a create that lets you choose one of these three things. Yeah, we have events, we have profile stuff. So basically like we're missing this whole thing here and some small other pieces. But I think once we get this done, like we'll have a fully functioning app that, aside from a little bit of design and stuff like, maybe subscriptions, notifications, and all the stuff I was mentioning before, we can actually go to like submitting it to the App Store, which is another topic I definitely want to cover and I have a lot of experience with. All right, so let's get into this. We are going to make a completely new model now. Back on the server, look, our dark green. Again, I'm using something called Peacock. It's an extension that lets you change the colors of VS Code on a project by project basis. So it makes it really easy for me. I made, the server side is dark and Flutter is blue, Flutter blue. So it just, I know what I'm working on. Okay, so let's go into our lib source models, and we're going to make a new model. We're going to call it post.spy.yaml. And let's remember what one of these things looks like. We'll look at the event one as an example. We'll call it class, class post, table, post. And we need to give it some fields. So a field, first of all, is going to have similar to a, there's something that we do, maybe it's not event, maybe it's venue. Yeah, we're going to have a owner on a post. That's like the author of it, basically. Who created this post? We definitely want that. What else does a post have? Well, let's look at our planning work here. So we're making a post. Yeah, author, it's going to have an excerpt. So yeah, let's have a body, which will just be a string. We're going to allow it to be null because maybe the post is actually just like an image. So let's have something like that. Let's have primary image URL, just like we do on venue. We'll just carry that over there. Owner, body, primary image URL. Eventually, we'll probably allow people to do video and stuff like that, but I feel like that's, a later thing. What else do we need? Oh, yes, we want to have a few other things. We want to have a venue that it's related to, because we're going to allow you to basically post in a specific venue or even post in a specific event. So we'll do that as a relation, and we're going to do a, yeah, like I said, event. Oops, relation. Okay, there we go. What else am I missing? I'm sure there's some things here. Excerpt, we'll just take that from the body, primary asset. There'll be a like button, comment count, reporting. Okay, this seems fine. Primary image URL. Wonder if we should handle video right now. Probably not. But I'm just wondering, maybe we actually call this primary media URL, because it could be just to kind of future-proof it. It's for image, it's for video, maybe it's even for audio, which for an open mic app, that kind of makes sense. And we're going to make it not required, because it, in theory, is, is maybe you're just writing a text post, like an announcement or something like that. I guess we would want a date time, right? That's pretty important. So let's have created at, and we'll just use date time, and that will be required. I feel like we're doing this somewhere else. It must be. Oh, it's in the protocol. Menu endpoint, the bookmark, somewhere. Oh, here we are. Yeah, this one. Yeah, we already have it created at there. Date time. Cool. Okay, awesome. Okay, so we have our new model, which is a great start. Let's stop our server, and we're going to do a Serverpod generate. Actually, this is a good time to do something very fun. We're going to upgrade Serverpod. The reason is when I run this, we're actually going to get an error, or at least a warning, because I've updated my version of the Serverpod CLI to latest, but we haven't updated this project yet. So let's pretend I haven't updated yet, just so we can see. So let's just go to the Serverpod docs to remember how to do this. And we can just run dart pub global activate Serverpod CLI, and this will actually upgrade it for us. So it's saying it's active at 2.1.1. And now we're on 2.1.1. But according to our code, if we actually go to our pubspec.yaml in here, we're actually going to see it is 2.0.2. So we're going to upgrade all this. And that's why we're not using our little carrots, right? Because we want to have complete control of this to make sure that everything's in sync. So we're just going to change all of these to use 2.1.1, and then we're going to do a dart pub get. And we're good there. Now, there'll be some other stuff we have to run, but we need to go to our client. So I actually don't have the client open, but I'm going to get to it now by going to open mic, cd open mic. Because the client, it's very rare you have to work inside here. It's really only to do things like these sort of updates. And we're just going to do that now. So same kind of thing. We're going to go to our pub spec. We're going to change these to 2.1.1. And that's all we need to do here. So we're actually going to close this out. So let's do a Serverpod generate. And we were having this error in, is this in the Flutter? Yeah. So let's also do this in Flutter, as I meant to do. So we'll change our 2.0.2 to 2.1.1, and we should be good. So let's run that again. We shouldn't see that warning this time. Generating code, generating code, generating code. Okay, we're good now. And all of our little errors are gone because when we upgraded, there's been some changes and you have to kind of regenerate to conform to the new things. What's new in 2.1.1? If you didn't catch the keynote on it, the biggest thing to me is defaults now. You can actually set a default value on a field, which is super important for migrations because previously it would actually just wipe that table if you're adding a new field that isn't nullable. So now we can actually set a default. That's one of the big things. There was a bunch of other stuff, something with logging. There's an extension now for Serverpod, all that good stuff. I've commented in the chat about hashtags. That's a good idea. I'm trying to think, do we store them on, I guess we would store them on here. Yeah, I feel like, do we already have tags? No, maybe we don't. Yeah, let's store tags. Okay, so to do that properly, we're actually going to make a new model called tag.spy.yaml. So we're going to have class called tag because we want this to be database driven so that we can actually navigate to these things. Field tag, or not field, sorry, table tags tag. And for fields, it's really just going to have a string. We'll just call it name, I guess, which will be a string. Then in our post, we can actually have tags, and that is going to be a relationship. I forgot how to do this in Serverpod. Serverpod, oops. Working with models, many to. Okay, Serverpod, many to many. So I remember how to do it. Okay, cool. Yeah, it's a list of tag. Can be null because it's a relation. And the relation. So it's a relation, and here we can actually put name equals, so let's see, they did course, so we can call it post tags. I think is that. Wonder why. Oh, yes. Okay, so we do that, and then we actually have to go back to our tag model, and we actually do the same kind of thing. We do posts, and this is going to be a list of post relation. And in this case, wait, is that what they did? Oh. No, that doesn't make sense. There's no course enrollments. Wait, where's the enrollments table? Right, they use a junction table. Between this, like, we don't really need that. We could, but with like a junction table or a join table, or there's various words for it in this world, it's good when you need to have like extra data on something. Like say you wanted to know this was tagged at this particular time. That's when this is good because you get an extra field, but I don't think we need to do that. So I'm actually just going to keep it as the word relation, and this should just work. So we'll have that. We'll have that. Okay, tags. Yeah, that's a good idea. So let's generate again, just for the code. Then we actually have to generate our database migration. Serverpod create migration. So fun tip, do not type serverpod create space migration because it'll actually create a new app within your serverpod directory called migration. I made that mistake once, and I've seen it done before too. Okay, so we create the migration. It made a new migration for us somewhere in here. And if we look at the migration, we'll see it's creating our post table. It's creating our tag table. It's doing a bunch of other fun stuff. Cool. Okay, now to actually run this, we do our normal dart bin slash main dot dart dash dash apply migration. So we'll just apply our migrations when it starts up, and we'll just make sure that everything's good. All right, cool. We now have a lovely post model. So let's make some endpoints for it, I guess, right? That's probably the next logical thing. Let's go to our endpoints, and let's make a post endpoint. It's .dart. Let's just open up venue endpoint as kind of a reference. Oops. And we'll get our post endpoint. We don't really need that. Let us just include all these things we might need. We're not going to need DO, guarantee it. Post endpoint extends endpoint. And let's start with creating because we need data in order to actually, test this out. So yeah, let's do this sort of thing. We're going to have a future. It's going to return a nullable post. We'll call it save session, and the post. It's asynchronous. Great. I want to see, is this, what was the other, is event. I just want to look at event endpoint for its save, because it did something that I want to make sure we're doing. Maybe it wasn't that. Where do we have our created at? It was in post, sure. Oh, venue bookmark. What? Okay, maybe I'm thinking of something else. Whatever. Okay, so we'll have our save and same kind of thing. Keep in mind, we'll at some point do a little cleanup where we kind of get rid of some of this, sort of stuff. But we're basically requiring authentication there, and we'll get the user and probably have a whole video dedicated to cleaning up our Serverpod code because there's a lot of things that I would like to do. Okay, so we get a post, and then what do we actually want to do with this post? We want to save it. Okay, we have that. Insert row, update row. Oh yeah, that's it. So we want to check if our post.id does not equal null, meaning it already exists in our database. We want to return an await of post.db.updateRow, and we just pass in our post. Okay, cool. Otherwise, we need to create a new one. Insert row. Beautiful. Okay, cool. So we have that. So I want to make sure we're not forgetting something here. And then, is there anything in our post, our create? We need to update. Yeah, we need to actually make, when it's a new one, we actually want to do final. Let's do p equals post.copyWith because we want to get the date time. We want to set our created at equal to datetime.now. We don't want to rely on what the client is saying. We want to use specifically our server's time. And is there anything else in our posts that we care about? Post.spy.yaml. Tags we don't care about. Primary media URL we don't care about. Body event. Cool. Yeah, I think that is what we want. In which case, if that's all it is, we can probably just put this here, get rid of one line. So we take our post, we copy it, and set the created at. Only when we're inserting. When we're updating, we use it as is. Yeah, that should be fine. Okay, so we have that. I just removed a file, I think, from there. Okay, let's restart our server. We need to generate because we made a new endpoint. We should also, we haven't done that yet. Yeah, for retrieve, there's some stuff we definitely want to do. Okay, let's run. We don't need to migrate again, so let's just do that. And And let's test out, let's create something. So we're gonna go back to our Flutter side and we're gonna go to our post root screen. And right here, we're going to, of course, just have a floating action button inside the scaffold. Floating action button. And it's on pressed, we'll do something cool. And its child will just be a icon, icons.add. And now we should have a lovely floating action button down here if I'm in the right place. Hello, where's my floating action button? Debug console. Oh, we lost connection. Oh, what? Okay. Oh, it's because we updated Serverpod everything, or we might have not even actually done it properly. Let's do a full stop. Let's do a Flutter pub get just to make sure we got the most recent Serverpod stuff, and let's rerun. All right, I should be able to click plus now. Yay! Doesn't do anything, but it's here. Great. Okay, so we need to create some things, right? We're not going to worry about making the UI yet for like the form, but we need a way to actually talk to Serverpod to do this kind of thing. So let's go to our, let's look at our venue, and let's open up post provider. Let's go to our providers here. Actually, let's start with our service. So we need a post service. Inside post, new file, post service.dart. All right, and looking at our venue service, we can kind of see this sort of stuff. And what we really care about is right now the save function. So let's kind of have these open side by side and just do this. So we have a class. It's been a while. It's been a while since we've actually done this sort of work on this project, so it's kind of exciting. We want to be able to pass in our client, and we're going to have a constructor of post service, this.client. All right, now we'll skip all of our things for listing and searching and retrieving because we don't have endpoints for that yet, but we're going to have a future that's going to either return a string for an error or a post. And we now have that lovely post model, and we'll call it save, and we're going to require a pong command, a post to be sent in, async. Just to save everyone seeing me make typos, we're just going to copy and paste this. However, we want to use client.post.endpoint. We want to save the post. Couldn't save. We'll just change this to a post. That's all we really need for this. So now let's go to our on press thing. Oh, we need one more thing, right? We don't talk to the service directly. We talk to a provider. So we're going to have a provider in here. We're going to call it post service provider. And similarly, let's just look at our venue service provider. And yeah, we're going to, first of all, we need Serverpod annotation. And this is going to be part of post service provider.g.dart. And we're going to use Serverpod. And this will be called, this is going to return a post service. And this is actually going to be post service ref. And we really want to return our post service by passing in ref.read, our client provider. Now, because none of this code's generated, it's not really, everything's looking like it's broken and whatever, but we'll be good in a minute. Post service. Yeah, this returns a post service. Yep, okay. Oh, we need to give it a name too. Post service. There we go. Okay, so we'll save that. We're going to go to terminal. We are going to do make gen watch, which for those just catching up, we have a make file that has some lovely commands in it, just so that I don't have to remember to write this whole thing. And we're just running our build runner with watching and deleting conflicting outputs. We'll let that run. I'm using watch because it's faster to run the second time, and I might have made a mistake here. Not quite, but kind of. We need to import our client provider from here. There we go. Save again, just to make sure. And now we're good. Okay, so we now have our post service provider, basically. We don't put the word provider here because this will actually generate something using our name and it will be called post service provider. If we had the word provider, it would be post service provider provider. We don't want that. Okay, so this is our singleton that's going to access our post service and give us access to ref and all that good stuff. That means now in our root screen, where we're going to do this little test, we can go ref. Oh, but we actually need to convert this to a consumer widget, right? Like we're doing everywhere else. So we can have access to ref. And this will be widget ref. So now we actually have our consumer widget so that we can go ref.read. And now we want to use our post service provider.save post. So let's actually make a post. And we're just going to hardcode this. So post equals post. Post, cool. What are the things we need? Well, we need, there's like a body. This is my body. What were some other things? Let's look at our post.spy. Owner, oh, that's something we need to actually do server side is set the owner. I forgot about that. Body, tags, we're not going to worry about at this moment. Cool. That's going to actually be annoying. It'll be fine. We'll figure that out. Okay. Now, there is something like created at, which we need to actually make. Whenever we just make it nullable. No, it's fine. We're just use data.now. All knowing that the client will not be in charge of this, we end up overriding it anyways. Okay, cool. So we have that. This is my body. Created at datetime.now. What else is missing? Owner ID is required. Okay. Wait, what? How did we do this before? Let's just see how we did this before in venue. Venue form provider. Get reset data. Oh, right. We do this like we take the user ID. Okay. We're just going to make the owner ID 0. Doesn't really matter. And what else are we missing? Venue ID. Oh, but these are nullable. What? How do you do nullable foreign keys? Let's find that out real quick. So this is many to many, one to many. Relation. How do you do a company relation? How do you have like an optional foreign key? Right. That's weird. Posts. Okay, so yeah, event ID, venue ID required. We're gonna have to figure that out in a minute. Venue ID, post, or what was the other one? Venue ID, or sorry, venue ID, yeah, 0. Maybe 0 is just what it is when it's null. Okay, so let's see if this is probably going to throw an error. We have this running, we have this, so I'm going to click. This should save the post. Our server is running. Okay, let's find out what happens. There we go. Internal server error 500. Yeah, I thought this would happen. Post violates for this thing. Post FK0. What's your update on this? Okay. I'm assuming it's something to do with these guys right here. Is there like a required sort of thing? Serverpod nullable foreign key. Okay, so we're going to try this a different way. We're actually going to do venue ID, which is going to be an int, but a nullable int. And we're going to do the word relation. I'm just looking at this. And its parent is going to be, wait, what did I do wrong here? Oh, comma, int. And its parent is going to be equal to venue. Is that? I think that's how you do it. What do they do? Address. Yeah. So let's do that. Let's also do the same for event ID. Wait, but how do you, or is it, do you do it like this? Oh, it's the table name. Okay, that makes sense. Event ID, event. So we use the table name. Hey, it even knows. It's pretty awesome. There's no found in any model. Okay, so we change this to event. This is how we should do it in this case. And I might want to actually refactor stuff. I kind of like this better. This is more closer to how the database has it. Let's see what happens. This is new. This is new. Okay, so we're storing event and we're storing it like this. So for this, we need to make a migration, obviously. So we'll look in our history with the up arrow key, create migration, and then we're going to actually run the migration. Oops, create migration, then we just start our server again, basically, by applying it. Oh, post is not like, oh, we forgot to serverpod generate, I think. Serverpod generate. Then we create the migration again if we need to. No changes, okay. Then we'll start it with apply migration. And hopefully this works. Okay, good. Yes, we are good. Okay, so now I think we're going to be okay over here because we shouldn't have to pass this stuff in. And wait, should we do the same with owner then? Probably. Owner ID. We'll make this a required integer because there'll always be an owner, and parent will be user. Okay, let's go through that process again. Serverpod, oh, you should do the generate first. Actually, I don't think it matters, but generate the code changes. Yeah, I don't think that would have mattered in that order, but then we create the migration. Oh, no changes detected. Okay, cool. I guess, yeah, I guess there wouldn't be a database. There's no database change on this because this is actually still how it, stores. And then, yeah, we'll just run our start server. Okay, so now if we go back here in a moment, what is it saying? What is it saying? Venue ID is required. It shouldn't be required now. It's literally can be an int, but do I have to just? Well, it could be. It's not allowing null. I think it's just this hasn't caught up with my code changes. So we can actually just go restart analysis server, and then we'll kind of reread all the stuff it's working with, and I think that error will be gone now. That seems to have done it. All right. Let's start our server, or make sure our server is running. Let's just do a nice refresh here, just out of sanity. And let's see if we can add a post. Boom. Okay, we got a 500 error. What is this error? Okay, cool. Database. Well, mapped where my endpoints, post endpoint. Let's just go here. Insert row. So if it does not equal null, we're updating. Created at date time.now. What's the problem here? Insert update on table post violates foreign key constraint post fk0. What? Okay, so we're getting that error, and it's because we're not, I'm fairly confident it's because we're not actually setting the user. So we do want to, when we are updating or inserting, we also want to set the user or the owner ID equal to this user, right? User.id, which we know is not null because we already have the null check there. That's totally the problem. We're going to restart our server. We are going to go back to our app. We are going to click feed. We're going to click plus. And yes, we created a post, everyone. We finally have a post. If we go back to our database here and click on post, we should go into the data. We should see our new post, which has an ID of 3 for some reason. I guess because it started to try and create it, then made an error 2 times. That makes sense. Owner ID, cool. Venue ID, event ID. This is my body. No image URL, and a created at, which is right now. Great. Okay, cool. So I'll leave it there because this one already went on a little bit longer than I'm trying to do. Thanks for hanging out this long. Obviously, the next one, or maybe it's obvious, but we'll probably keep working on what we're working on. We're going to want to have our lists. We're going to have whatever. We might also experiment with using one of the new features in Serverpod, which is the their stream data kind of thing, like a new way of basically like having a connection with the server and just getting data as it comes in. We'll see. It might make sense for this. It might not. We're definitely going to use that at some point. I just don't know the place yet. But yeah, lots of cool stuff to come. I think yeah, right now I'm going to really try and focus on the social stuff, everything about posts, friend requests, liking, because it's something I've done a bunch of times. It's exciting, and for people that don't want to watch necessarily this whole tutorial, they can maybe just come in around that part and be like, okay, cool, that's how I make just a social media app. That's all I cared about. So that's what we're gonna be doing for the next little bit. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one.